Hi, everyone. I'm Leah from Briggs Little, and I am so excited to be here today. It's our very first live interview. So, we're starting something a little new. It's a series of short conversations with some of our incredible wholesale partners and people that own local yarn shops. So, we want to hear directly from the amazing people who work with our yarns every day and what they make, what they love about it, and how it all comes to life. So, today I am thrilled to be joined with Angelique Binet, who works with me to make sure that Briggs and Little is visible, as visible as we can be. Um, and Angelique is the founder of Social Media Love Inc. She is an online visibility strategist. She's a TEDx speaker, and she's also an author. So she's pretty amazing. And of course, we have a very special guest who many of you may recognize. It's Deanne Fitzpatrick, and she is one of our longtime wholesale partners. She sells our yarn in her studio, in her store. And Deanne is also incredible. She received the Order of Canada in 2023. She is the author of what will be now 10 books coming up. You're an artist. You've had at least 2 solo exhibits in the Art Gallery Nova Scotia, right?
Yep, you got it. You did your research, Leah.
Yeah. And of course, she owns Deanne Fitzpatrick Rug Hooking Studio. So that's amazing in itself. So everyone feel free to, grab a coffee or your beverage of choice, your knitting, your crocheting, your rug hooking, whatever project you're doing today, and sit back and listen to us have a little chit chat about the yarns that we create for Deanne and then some of our yarn staples too. So,
Great.
all right.
Hello. So you are so cute with all those yarns, by the way.
Is it gorgeous?
Yes, I just love it so much. So Deanne, as you introduce yourself, as Leah introduced yourself, like, could you kind of go back in the past and kind of share with us, what brought you to Briggs and Little originally, if you go back there?
So my very first rugs, I just used old cloth and old coats and old skirts. And that's sort of what I did. I was a traditionalist. But as time went on, I just sort of started to realize that there's less and less old clothing around for rug hooking, really. And there's more and more yarn. Knitting I don't know when the big boom in knitting happened, but it happened. And there was so many yarns available. And in my business, these are all our custom colors. I'm just going to lay those down now. But with all the knitting yarns available, I started looking at what was locally made. And because that's really an important part of Deanne Fitzpatrick Studio, that we work with what we have. We have a set of custom colors that Briggs and Little makes for us. But long before we did that, we were using their yarns, and we mixed wool cloth strips and a variety of yarns. And Briggs and Little yarns is one of our main suppliers in our kits. And we have a whole room in our studio dedicated to Briggs and Little yarn.
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful room,
It is.
Right? It's a beautiful room full of your yarns. And out of that, we now have more than a dozen colors that are custom to us. And there are times up to 30 colors.
You have 46.
We have 46 on
46.
Right? Yeah. We have 46 custom colors. But at any given time, we will only have probably 20 of those in stock. But now we want to bring out, I want to have certain colors, like certain trios every year, to bring out new ones. And I find that, Leah, you guys are great to work with. I've worked with Mike in the past, and, you do a really great job, and you're very honest and sincere. Like, someone came in the other day and said, I asked them if I could buy, I don't know, Deanne sunflower yellow. And they said, only Deanne sells sunflower yellow,
Right.
You're really, you really stick with your retailers, and I really appreciate that. And your delivery time is quick. I love that too.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
think you have a special relationship with Heather too, who looks after
We
our
do,
wholesale
yes.
customers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's
Heather's been good to us, and we grew a lot in the last in the last 5 years. I would say we grew quite a bit, and so our needs changed. And Heather, like we call, and Heather's there, and
right,
she's able to help us. And sometimes we have a little yarn emergency, like we're out of
right,
black, or
right.
we need this color right away. And Heather will always do her best for us. Like she won't bump us up or anything, but she'll always do her best. Yeah, do
That's
her
right.
and we
Yeah,
really appreciate that. Yeah,
yeah,
great customer service.
yes.
Well, you answered so many of my questions already, Deanne.
Good.
But a question I have maybe for you, Leah. You have some clients like Deanne that you do custom yarns, color yarns. What is the criteria for have this special treatment? Because there is probably different tiers of how you work together. So I would love to
Yep.
hear from you, Leah, around that.
Yeah. So our custom colors, so Deanne, all of her colors are actually solid dye colors. So the minimum for that is 50 pounds, which equates to 200 skeins of one color. So that's basically, if it's a solid color, then that's our minimum. If it's a blended color, or what we call a heathered color, then it's a much larger quantity. So we don't have a lot of the heathered colors as custom colors. It's usually the solid dye ones because it's a smaller minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you I'm sure there are people asking this question, so that's a beautiful answer. And Deanne, what would you recommend to someone who I've heard of Briggs Little, because that's the oldest, mills in Canada, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you recommend to them to start with, or how to approach this type of product?
Well, we use it for hooking rugs, and my favorite yarn, I would say, is a 2-ply. This is the one that I really like. It's 2-ply heritage. And what we will do is we will get custom colors, but then we'll over dye those custom colors, right? So to change them and make them really beautiful. And we buy a lot of your naturals, and we do a lot of dyeing in our studio, because we love straight solid colors, but we want, like our website, we have maybe 30 hand dyes of Briggs and Little that we use on our website. So we dye all those in the studio. And I have to give a plug for my website. It's hookingrugs.com. So that's my job here, Leah.
That's right.
So we do a lot of hand dyeing. So what I would say, if I was just getting started in rug hooking and I wanted a selection of colors, we have a selection called the Sunday Drive selection that Leah and Mike have dyed for us so beautifully. And that gives you like 8 skeins. It's a great start. But I would also want a few skeins like Leah's holding in her hand, like a few hand dyes. And I'd also want some different, I'd want some 3-ply, some 2-ply, this is like a single ply. I've got it all messed up here, but it's a single ply that we've hand dyed into our summer sky color. So I would get a variety of yarns so that you could get started with rug hooking with it, because that way your rug is not going to be all one, everything perfectly even. I like a lot of texture in my mats, and
Right.
I think knitters like texture too, don't they? They like to mix
definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And of course, you sell directly online too, Leah, right?
We actually are not e-commerce.
Oh, you're not e-commerce. So people have to call you in order. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we have a retail customer come into our shop, we sell through here.
Yeah.
They can also phone us and purchase on the phone. But as for going into our website, we are not e-commerce. And the reason being is we want to promote our stores that we sell to. So like you.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. We really try to, promote shopping local.
Yeah, I didn't know you did that intentionally. That's really helps cultivate the relationship with your retailers, right? Because it gives them an opportunity to sell it online. Yeah.
So this is a good bridge, Leah. If you don't mind to share with people who may discover you for the first time, who is Briggs and Littles? Like, what is it? Tell us, what is the scoop?
So Briggs and Little is the oldest woolen mill in Canada. It was actually established in 1857, right here on this property. So my husband's family, the Littles, Mike is actually 4th generation, and 2 of our 3 sons that work with us are 5th generation Little. So in 1916, that's when the Littles, our family, kind of came in, and there has been a Little descendant own be a partner or sole owner of Briggs and Little since then. So it's quite a history we have here. And we have, like I said, the 2 of our 3 sons that work with us. We are hoping that they will take over and be 5th generation, and you never know, their children might take over from them. So
I love that story, Leah. And is one of the reasons why, because it's an Atlantic Canadian story, right? It's a rich, it's a story of rich history, and it's a story of like people growing in their own place and in a small place, right? And I love that history.
Yeah.
And I love it that when that you're accessible, like Briggs and Little, the Littles aren't someone who I don't know, or I've never seen or never heard of. They're not like out there, or not someone that we can't access. If we have a question, we can get a hold of you. It's a huge thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Deanne, I have a question for you.
Sure.
What surprised you the most about the Briggs and Little's products, would you say?
I think their willingness to work with me as a small retailer. And when I first started selling Briggs and Little, I was ordering a little, really, and they were helpful and good, and they wanted to, and their wool comes in a burlap bag, which I just love. I love that, because we use burlap as of course the root of rug hooking, and they were willing to compromise with me and work with me. And then as I got bigger and I wanted more things, 46 custom colors, they were willing to just take a chance. And I would say, this one is so light, and he'd say, I don't know if I can make that. It's such a little bit of dye, but he'd try it. And maybe it wasn't, I was always willing to work with them too. Like maybe it wasn't exactly, but it was good and it was beautiful. And we were able to, have a great working relationship all along. There's never been a difficult time in this relationship. And it's been I would say I've been selling Briggs and Little for over 20 years. Yeah. Pretty much, pretty close.
I would say so. Definitely.
Yeah.
We have a great partnership.
We do. Yeah.
You have some comments. Look, Norma is saying, wonderful having a true generational family history business.
Thanks, Norma.
And then we have Maureen, who is saying, coming to visit you all in July.
Awesome. We love that. Yesterday, we actually had 2 shop owners come into the store, and I did a couple of posts with their pictures in them. So love having people come in and say, I'm from so-and-so, and I own such and such a shop or whatever. Please, if you come in, introduce yourself, because we're not going to recognize your face probably, unless we do this. And we like to celebrate our partnerships with the stores and the retail customers too. They'll bring in sweaters and projects and stuff, and we'll take pictures of them and post them on social media. So.
Leah, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How many retailers do you have selling Briggs and Little yarn across North America? An estimate.
We have over 400 right now.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's
a lot of work managing all those relationships.
Yeah. Well, and we're hoping to do better. We sometimes people will join us and they kind of get lost in the crowd. So we're going to try to, make everyone aware of the people that are selling our yarns so that they can go, oh, I recognize that shop, and go there.
Well, that's what you're doing here today, so that's great.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about you guys.
So there is a little demo that you wanted to do, Deanne.
I think I want to show you how I use Briggs & Little. Okay, I'm just going to get Angela.
Okay. And Leah, while we're waiting, what is the best way to reach out to you? Anyone who is watching this video is like, I need to talk to Leah.
If you call the office, we have a 1-800 number for our Canadians, and then our local number. So if you call, it's usually Crystal that answers the phone, and she and Heather can help you with anything and everything. I call them my right and left hand, because they answer the phones, and if it needs to come to me, then it will, but they usually handle all the work out there.
Is the phone that I put there is the right one?
Yep, that's perfect. Yep.
So I'm gonna disappear so that Deanne can show her art and you can have conversation together. I'll be back.
Okay. So, and Angela's here to help me. And could you just sort of hold the frame so we can show them this rug? Oh, I lost it.
Beautiful.
We just need a second here. Sorry. 1 second.
So is this one of your regular ones, or is it a new design?
My original rugs.
Nice.
So if you stand right over there, we'll get a nice. So I want to show you how I've used Briggs & Little in this already. So I'm going to get you to hold it just like this, Angela. Thank you. So I've used some Briggs & Little in here already. You can see you've been using your red right here. And you can see it in quite a few places. This is a green over here that we overdyed from your natural. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show people how I use your yarn in this sky. So what I like to do is I like to contrast. I love Briggs & Little. I always call it kind of a workhorse of a yarn, It's like,
yep, that's common.
Strong and beautiful, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's there's a simplicity and a comfort to using your yarn that I just really love and admire. So this is a skein that we overdyed. And what I love about it is that it creates a contrast between the cloth that I've cut up here and the yarn. So the first thing I do is I bring my end to the surface, and then I go down and I get in between the other colors here.
Now, are we looking at the front or the back?
You're looking at the front. This is the top side, Leah. Okay. It'll all get trimmed. But so what I'm contrasting this between cloth and yarn. So this is a different kind of yarn. The other one is the pale yellow here. And you can see what I'm doing is I'm using your yarn 2 strands at once. And I love that about it too, when I can take it and use 2 strands at once. And I'm just going to show you here. Or I can also take it and use it as a single strand. And then that gives me a slightly different texture. So if I use it as a single strand, I'm probably hooking it a little bit closer together. And it just looks a little, not a lot, but just a tiny bit different than
a little different texture.
Just a little different texture. And I love that. You can really play with it. Then sometimes I'll bring in a 3-ply, or I'll take a 2-ply. I'll take a single ply, which I don't use this as much, but I do like it. So I'm taking your single ply now, and I'm using it loose as 4-ply, right? So I've taken 4 strands together, and look at that. And then
isn't that amazing?
A different texture altogether. And of course I can use this with 6 strands, 2 strands, and it all gives me a different texture. And of course we've dyed this in the studio, so it has a different colorway. But I use a lot of your black for my outlining. And we don't do any, I use a lot of your yarn straight up too. Blue heather, there's a lot of colors that I love, just as they are. So that gives you a good
Beautiful.
demonstration. Thank you, Angela. I appreciate it. There we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. It's lovely to see all the different textures that come, and it's all our yarn, but it looks different. So
It looks
it's quite
different.
amazing.
Yeah, it is quite amazing. And, there was a time when I didn't feel like yarn was part of rug hooking. Like that was a long time ago, mind you. But I'll tell you one thing I've discovered as I've aged is that yarn is a lot easier on my hands. It's
Ah,
it's a lot easier to hook and a lot smoother, and I can hook faster with it and more comfortably than I can with
nice.
wide cuts of heavy wool cloth. So, that's changed for me over the years. So it's a really
Interesting.
important part of our studio.
Nice. Wow. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. You
So
are.
out of all of your works, do you have one that's extra special that stands out more than the others?
I have a few. I have a series that was acquired by the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia, and it's called The Very Mention of Home. So that would be one of my
Right.
more art series.
Yeah.
That one stands out. And then there's another one is a portrait of my mother, and
Aw.
it belongs to the Shorefast Foundation, which is the foundation that runs the Fogo Island Inn, and they own
Yes.
that. And that is a very important rug to me, and they keep it on one of their premises. So there are a few
Nice.
over the years, and then I have a few in my house that, I have a portrait of my husband that, will probably never sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a few, but really I'm always thinking about the next rug, Leah. Like I'm always like thinking about, maybe
Dreaming.
the next one. Yeah. That maybe
Yeah.
that one will be the one. You hope that one will be the one that you'd never want to part with.
Yeah.
Mm.
So where do you draw your inspiration? Is it one particular area or?
My inspiration comes from a lot of it comes from the land around here in Cumberland County, which is probably a lot like the land around where you live,
It
a lot of
is.
spruce trees, a lot of farmers' fields, so I get a lot of inspiration from that, like the shape of a seed pod. So I walk a lot and I'm always watching. Then the
Right.
other thing it comes from is I grew up in Newfoundland, and so that hangs on. I think the shapes of the houses, the colorful houses, but also there's a loneliness to the landscape there that, and a lot of solitude. So you see that in my work, a lot of
Yeah.
flowers, I'm just watching all the time. Right. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you have a keen eye because your creations are
Thank you.
stunning. I haven't seen one yet that I don't like.
Oh, thanks, Leah. That's sweet. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Deanne, how people can reach out to you now they've listened to all the beautiful stories and testimonials? What is the
Thank you.
best
I
way to
really
reach
appreciate that. We too have a toll-free number. It's 1-800-328-7756. But the best way to reach us is through our website, and it's called hookingrugs.com. And that is a very busy website. And on that website, you'll find like a community where you can join for free. There's a free course on how to hook rugs, and it is just it's a place to go and play around and learn about rug hooking.
Yeah. It's a community all in itself.
It is. And every Thursday we do a live show. Every Thursday we do a live show where we teach people how to hook rugs, and we talk about rug hooking. And sometimes we feature Briggs and Little yarns on that. Oftentimes we do, especially our hand dyes. And so we have a busy Facebook and Instagram page too. Yeah.
Beautiful. Anything else that we didn't ask you, Deanne, that you want to say?
I'm just honored to be included, and I'm honored to sell your wool. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and
thank you, Angela.
We're honored to be associated with you because you're an amazing lady, and so is your business. So thank you also.
Well, Leah, that was a first, and that's a wrap. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you for educating me on your world. I love it. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
You did great.
Thank you. I have two wonderful women to guide me, so hopefully you'll see my face more often doing these. We're going to reach out to some more of our shop owners, and I hope you watch us just like we watch you, Deanne.
I will watch you.
You can stay with me backstage. We're gonna close.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.